So before we talk about the benefits of neoadjuvant and adjuvant chemotherapy, let's first define them. Neoadjuvant chemotherapy is chemotherapy after surgery, whereas adjuvant chemotherapy is chemotherapy before surgery. And the surgery that we're referring to is breast surgery. So whether it's a mastectomy or a lumpectomy, depending on the size, location, and the patient's preference in some situations. So most patients that are diagnosed with any stage breast cancer want the tumor to be gone. There is a certain psychological effect of knowing that something in your breast is malignant and could potentially harm you later down the road. They want it out of there. But there's really a lot to be said about leaving that tumor in there so you can gauge tumor response. So there's a certain number of drugs that people are given it as an early stage patient that's just standard of care. So most of them include a cocktail of chemotherapy known as adriamycin, Cytoxan, and Taxol, an anthracene and a taxane-based chemotherapy. Um, and the fact is, if you take your breast off or take the tumor out, you have no way to gauge whether that tumor is responding to therapy. Um, an example that I like to bring up is I have a friend who recently was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she left her tumor in, unlike what I did, and the tumor was not responding to treatment. In fact, it was growing despite being on adriamycin, Cytoxan, and Taxol. That told them there was something else going on because it typically should be responding to this therapy, right? It's very aggressive, very difficult to take, one of the most aggressive chemotherapies on the market. It actually showed them that this cancer was more aggressive than what they thought it was. And they did some additional testing and found out that she actually had an active HER2 protein. HER2 is a human growth protein that wasn't detected on the first round of tests that she had after her initial biopsy. So that included a new drug in her tumor regimen called Herceptin that has been a godsend for her. So if she had had the breast surgery and had that tumor removed, she would have no clue if it was actually working. Her regimen was working from a treatment perspective. Her cancer was responding to that treatment. So I'm really a big advocate for leaving that tumor if you can, because it's a visible and palpable way to determine if that treatment is working, and you can also adjust course if necessary. My having my breast tumor removed from the very beginning, just to determine what it was, didn't allow me to see if it was actually responding to therapy. And although future scans would say that it did, we have no way of knowing that it actually had any sort of benefit because the tumor was gone.